right here and now, including the past and the future. So this is a life not, we don't need goals in order to have a sense of direction. We do better with the sense of direction that isn't hooked onto an external goal, because then we can focus on a sense of direction. That's called a way. It's a way, a path, a direction. And I found that this emphasis on the vow of waking up and accounting for myself here and now, and how that includes the past, which is alive here, and the future, which is alive here, was another thing that helped me find coherence in my life. Coherence across time. And it's a great antidote to regret, because you're here, and the past is here. And whatever you can, there's accepting things that have happened, and there's accounting for things that have happened, and then there's continuing. So we can't, listen. So in Zazen, repentance is that moment of waking up to the fact that you're out to lunch. And vow is the moment of returning to your Zazen. It seems simple, but of course we know it's not easy. Sometimes we return to our Zazen and immediately we're out again, and then we return. Well, can you accept that this is a lifetime event, activity of getting caught up in your delusions and desires and getting carried away and returning to being present here and now? And it's the journey. That's the way. That's the path. So in fact, that's why Anjin, the settled heart, includes the messes, because it's repentance and vow. So we're out to lunch and we return. We're out to lunch and we return. And there's a very fine Buddhist teacher who originally, I think, practiced Zen and then became a Theravada teacher, or there's more secular versions of it. I think he's written some good books. I can't pick up his name at the moment. He said, after 20 years of dedicated practice and 10 as a teacher, my sitting practice isn't any better, which I'm aware of that, isn't any better. What I have learned is not to kick myself in the shins, metaphorically, every time I realize that I'm out to lunch and have to come back. Don't waste your energy on criticizing yourself. You've done it again. That's just more delusion. That's just more obfuscation, more fog. Let it go and return. The return, in that case, is the response to the being carried away. We see it and we respond by returning. We're not obliged to count the seconds or minutes we return. It's the activity of letting go, waking up, letting go of what we're seeing, and returning. And that is, again, a paradigm for the rest of our life. So what you vow is critical. It's your sense of direction, whatever it is that you're vowing. We can vow to be a good person, but we better need to put some flesh on those bones, or it won't help us. So the central vow in Buddhism is to wake up to reality, put in various different ways. The central vow in Mahayana Buddhism is to wake up to reality for the sake of all beings. And the central vow in Zen, because we're wearing all our different layers here, where it's inclusive, is to wake up to reality for the sake of all beings, here and now. Because that's where we're alive, not at some future time. That's why, although Zen is Mahayana, it's not what's called the gradual path. So Tibetan Buddhism generally is a gradual path. You do this set of practices, and then you graduate to this set, and then you graduate to that. It's a very fine practice. Ours is just different. There's no staircase. Here and now. And what you do here and now, the best you pay attention to your life now, is the ground of who you are in the next moment. It gives you maybe a little nano bit more of grounding and settledness to meet the next one. So that we're practicing here and now is not saying that nothing changes. Everything changes. And then the whole karma or life is there's this whole wave of causes and conditions. Your past and everything else that has ever happened And the wave arrives here and now, in the present moment, where you have some degree of ability to capacity to choose, to do something, to respond to all of that in various different ways, productively, unproductively. And then however you live this moment becomes part of that vast wave and the causes and conditions that then land as the next. Nothing is left. Everything matters. I should stop here. So you see, you can only take this vow of the Dharma or the precepts, or however you want to put it, of your practice, of being guided by Dharma as your life, however you want to phrase that, if you have repentance as the other side of it. They're not just balancing each other, they're really one inclusive movement. And I think I better stop there and not go on to where I would have gone on to about how this path or the Dharma as a guide shapes. What kind of shapes does it have for our actual practice of awakening and accounting for ourselves and settling our lives? But there's always another time. There's always another time. So thank you very much. And we do have time for any questions or comments you would like to make. Chili?
I've got a question.
All right.
As I've been getting older, and I find more and more of my time is spent looking for objects that I've placed in one room or another, and I get very angry with myself because I'm impatient by nature. And so I'll curse at myself, and then I'll have the thought, well, this is not good. So I guess that's the repentance. And then the vow is briefly, okay, let's calm down and stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I find the same thing happens when I hear the news and I get mad at Russia or whatever. I just wonder, is mindfulness a part of that? Or I know you're not fond of that word, but
Mindfulness, you're being mindful when you recognize that you've just been cursed. Not only have you lost something, but you're cursing, which makes it a lot worse. You're being mindful, and you're also being mindful when you say, okay, that's not productive, let it go. That's mindfulness. But and then there's noting that we are hopelessly compelled by delusions and desires and anger. But it is so counterproductive.
it's breaking a habit.
To break the habit helps to actually, for me, it helps to externalize it and see how would I treat a small child or an older person with actual dementia? Would I take a deep breath and not, you are the small child. You are the person, or me, with the dementia. We are the person who innocently lost track. Was it it's karmic. But it's innocent, and it's going to keep happening. It's going to happen more. So we need to develop our strategies for this. And furthermore, what I find is that when I can't find something, I don't think of it as anger, but there's a kind of a turbulence going on, and then I can't find it. It's probably maybe right in front of me. I said to Elska last night when we were cleaning up for dinner, I said, or I was making dinner, I said, where's the lid for that mustard? She said, you've already put it on the jar. The turbulence of where is something just makes it so much harder, even if we don't actively get angry. So be the small child. It's easier to be the great grandfather who has dementia, and kindness. If you can respond to seeing that with just, instead of the curse, a little bit of kindness, because that melts it, that opens us up. That's why love is so important. That's why the same character in Shin is for the heart and the mind. We do need, we're guided by the heart when we say, oh, damn it, right? But quickly be guided by the heart. So it takes practice, but we can change those reactions or make the time before we reach a better reaction a little shorter. And then let go of the fact that you had a bad reaction, right? Instead of carrying for, oh, I'm such a bad person. Oh, how could I do that yet again? That's the kicking at yourself in the shins that is really not necessary. It's a good thing that you, not that you cursed it, but that you saw what you were doing, right? And then that you let it go. This is our thought. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Remember, Uchiyama Roshi just said, the thoughts you let go of aren't little light things that are going to fluff away into the sky. They're going to go clunk on the ground. They're heavy. So they're hard and they're sticky. And you made it work. Thank you.
And
Anything else? Yeah. Like, can you take that off so I can hear you better?
Did you say we don't bring zazen into our life?
Oh, we do, but not as some kind of mind of zazen. We don't say, oh, remember that moment when you felt like a vest when you're sitting? Now, can I not live with that as I go to the grocery store? No, you can't. Grocery store, you're picking things off the shelf mindfully. You're interacting with the checker mindfully, the cashier. You're having a human relationship with the guy at the fish counter. You're doing it. You're doing the underpinnings of zazen, but not zazen. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're driving the bus, the expression of your zazen is in carefully driving. Remember, Shohaku Kimura's expression of his description of the mind of zazen is like he said, you're driving along, and you have to have this wide open gaze where you see, because if you just focus on the yellow line or the car in front of you, you're going to miss something else and have a problem. So you have to focus in open focused way. So you're doing that when you're driving. And every now and then, even you must find that you're not really there, and that's dangerous. You come right back. And the other thing you're doing that is the outgrowth of, you might say, the outgrowth of your zazen is greeting each person. I mean, that's one of the things you do that brings you joy. That's an outgrowth of your zazen. You might say the zazen, it's not zazen because we're not seated and dropping all content out of our minds. So that's when zazen, opening the hand of thought, what we're doing is we're living with a mind that we're aiming not to have contentful thoughts. We're dropping off those contents. We get a sense of the shape of our mind. Well, but the rest of your life, you need those contents. You can't operate without them. Remember, there was Reb who said one time, it's like you need an ego. You need a mind that has contents, because otherwise you don't know where to put your lunch. We need to pay attention, and good, close attention to what's going on around us. And that's parallel to zazen, maybe, because zazen is a time of paying attention. So in the sense we're paying attention, I wouldn't quite call it mindfulness, but you can. We're paying attention. We're aiming to pay attention all the time in different circumstances, one of which is zazen.
Seems like, to me, I take the lessons from zazen in my life.
Yes,
Does that make
yes,
sense?
the lessons from zazen. In that sense, when I call zazen a paradigm, I'm saying it's a simplified form of your life, right? Hard enough to do, but simpler than the rest of your life. But we take the lessons from zazen. And
I'm curious about the relationship between attention to the present moment and the development of compassion. And if you think that compassion tends to arise and develop naturally through increased attention in the present moment, or if it's really almost a kind of a separate,
not separate.
That requires its own work.
I would say that one of the usually unspoken underpinnings of the Dharma, especially as regards compassion, is that it is our natural condition and when not obscured by all our delusions and desires and Meshuggah ideas, it arises naturally. Because we are naturally interconnected. We are naturally here together. We are naturally made of each other. And we naturally already have a heart. And the heart mind that are not two separate things. I mean, we use different words, but I like it that the Japanese tends, there are different words for it there too, but the character brings them back together. I didn't think about compassion for the first 10 years of my practice. I was mostly alone in the woods, but I didn't think about it. I was interested in waking up and understanding emptiness, things like that. Katagiri Roshi's Dharma name is Jikai, one of his Dharma names. Ocean of compassion, sea of compassion. And when I got the name Jisho, I went home, my partner, wasn't this, my beloved Elska, said, oh, what name did they give you? And I said, Jisho. She said, what does it mean? I said, illumination of compassion. And she said, boy, you have a lot of work to do. A little painful, but I kept it. It was so funny as well as painful that I had to hang on to that. Yeah. When we're really here and now, we're in a world where everything is connected, everything is made of everything else, everything is happening together, and it's a world, it is a world of love. We just don't usually feel it.
Or